Dolphins versus Ravens on Thursday Night Football. The Ravens completely destroyed the Dolphins in Miami in a 28-6 blowout win. And the biggest stars for the Baltimore Ravens was Lamar Jackson, who came back from injury throwing for 4 passing touchdowns, and 2 of which went to Ravens star tight end Mark Andrews. And as for the Dolphins, it was a frustrating day, especially for Tua. He threw for no passing touchdowns, or let alone a rushing touchdown, and threw an interception. And let's not forget that 4th down conversion when he overthrew a wide open receiver in the end zone. And I just couldn't believe it. Tua Tagovailoa makes more money than Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. If Miami kicks him to the curb this offseason, I will not be shocked in the slightest. And also, this game will also be remembered for is a bullshit, and I say bullshit, unnecessary roughness penalty on Ollie Gordon. He literally tripped, and automatically that's an unnecessary roughness penalty. I don't even understand if these refs are even trying to make the right calls at this point, because clearly they're not. But in all seriousness, I honestly didn't watch a single moment from this game. I mean, I watched the highlights, but I didn't watch it on Amazon Prime because it was giving me a hard time with its stupid, glitchy streaming. But as for the Ravens, it was a much needed win for them, and as for the Dolphins, they should blow it up. Giants versus 49ers. The 49ers defeated the Giants at MetLife in a 34-24 win, and the biggest star for the 49ers is unsurprisingly Christian McCaffrey. He led the team in rushing and receiving. For rushing, he had 28 carries for 106 yards and a rushing touchdown, and for receiving, he had 5 receptions for 67 yards and a receiving touchdown. Fantasy owners must be celebrating a whole lot after this. And as for the Giants, Jackson Dart literally tried to do everything in the air and on the ground, but it wasn't enough because his team consists of him, Darius Slayton, and a bunch of NPCs. Now, here is the big question. Will the Niners move forward with Mac Jones? We aren't entirely sure, but the 49ers are sitting pretty at 6-3 despite the countless injuries, and you got to give them credit for that because not a lot of teams can succeed with a ton of injuries. Titans versus Chargers. The Chargers defeated the Titans 27-20, and the Titans scored 20 points without even scoring on offense. So you're probably wondering, how the hell did they score 20 points? Oh, I'll tell you. They scored on a pick 6, they scored on a punt return touchdown, and their kicker made a few goals. And in all seriousness, it really didn't mean a whole lot because the Chargers won, thanks to Justin Herbert being that guy. 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And he also led the team in rushing, which is pretty unsurprising. And as for the Titans, well, I really got nothing else to say. I mean, Cam Ward and Tony Pollard literally didn't even score. And it really doesn't matter if they're going to be playing these games. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, but at best, they will get a top 3 draft pick. Lions versus Vikings. Oh yes, baby, an NFC North showdown between the Lions and the Vikings, and it was the Vikings who won this game. And the biggest star for them was J.J. McCarthy. 143 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception It was basically a game manager performance, but he executed it pretty well. And shout out to Justin Jefferson for being, well, Justin Jefferson. And as for the Lions, Jared Goff had a really good game. David Montgomery also had a good game. And so did Sam Laporta. But it really didn't mean much because the Lions lost this game. Because they couldn't be able to stop J.J. McCarthy in the last 2 minutes. The Vikings are so back, at least for now. And for the Lions, it was a heartbreaking loss at home. But they're sitting at 5-3 and they should be fine. Patriots versus Falcons. This was a back-and-forth contest, and the most crucial part of the game happened in the fourth quarter. Where down by 7, Atlanta was trying to go for a game-time score, and on 4th and goal, they decided to go for it. The right call, in my opinion. And then Michael Penix Jr. threw a pass to Drake London, who made an incredible catch to make it 24-23, but something unfortunate happened for Atlanta. Parker Romo missed the extra point to make it 24-23, but they got the ball back, and then they forced a punt, and then New England drained out the rest of the clock to hold on to a 24-23 win. And you know, this isn't the first time that the Falcons lost in heartbreaking fashion to the Patriots, 20-3. Despite the loss, Michael Penix Jr. put up really good numbers, 221 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And Drake London had 9 receptions for 118 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. But Atlanta was no match for Drake May. 259 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Travion Henderson led the team in rushing yards with 14 carries for 55 yards. And Demario Douglas had 4 receptions for 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. Folks, we haven't seen an entertaining game between the Patriots and the Falcons since, 2017. Steelers versus Colts. Daniel Jones is unfortunately back to being Daniel Jones. 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions in this game. I mean, I will give him some credit for keeping the Colts in this game. Well, at least in the fourth quarter. But still, it was a frustrating day for him. For the Steelers, the best players on offense was Aaron Rodgers, 203 passing yards and a touchdown, and Jaylen Warren with 16 carries for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns. And as for their defense, they ended the day with 3 interceptions and 5 sacks, and Alex Highsmith having 2 of those sacks. But don't worry, Colts fans, it's not all too bad. You guys are sitting at 7-2, and you guys just picked up Sauce Gardner. Texans versus Broncos. What looked like a sure Texans win turned out to be the other way around. Houston had a commanding 15-7 lead, and then C.J. Stroud suffered a concussion, and Davis Mills took his spot. And then in the fourth quarter, Denver was down by 8, and then Bo Nix threw a pass to R.J. Harvey to cut it to 2, and they went for the 2-point conversion to tie it at 15. And after a punt contest, the Broncos marched deep into Houston territory and set up Will Lutz for the game-winning field goal as the clock hit 0 to win 18-15 at Houston. After another comeback win for Denver, you just gotta believe in this team. Get it? Because that's his name. I'm trying my best here, guys, alright? Bengals versus Bears. Oh boy. As a Bengals fan, this is another frustrating loss, but I'm going to do my best to make this quick. So, the Bengals scored a lot of points offensively, and our defense was so horrible that we gave up 5 touchdowns to the Bears. and including the game-winning touchdown for the Bears to give Colson Loveland his second touchdown of the day to give Chicago a 47-42 win. Oh my God. Being a fan of this team is just pure torment. Torment. Packers versus Panthers. The Panthers upset the Packers at Lambeau in a 16-13 win. And I just gotta ask, Jordan Love, what in the living hell? Jordan Love was literally heaving that ball downfield like he doesn't even care who's down there. He's just throwing it. Especially on that fourth down when he was scrambling for 8 seconds and then threw a pass right to a Panthers defender. It should have been an interception, but he dropped it because he couldn't believe how horrible of a throw that was. As for Carolina, it was mainly Rico Dowdle doing the heavy lifting. 25 carries for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he even set up Ryan Fitzgerald for the game-winning field goal to give Carolina the upset win over Green Bay. Rams versus Saints. Let's just cut right into it. The Rams completely obliterated the Saints. Completely. Stafford threw for 4 touchdowns, and Tyler Shuck lost in his NFL debut. He was incredibly mediocre all day. So, on to the next game. Bills versus Chiefs. This is a really entertaining game between the Bills and the Chiefs, and that is no surprise because both of these teams put on a movie when they play each other in the regular season and the postseason. And it was the Bills who were victorious at Buffalo. For the Bills, Josh Allen had 273 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. James Cook had 27 carries for 114 yards, and Dalton Kincaid had 6 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown. As for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Mahomes had a meh performance. He didn't throw for a touchdown pass, and he threw an ugly interception, but he was good enough to keep KC in this game. And KC's run game, led by Kareem Hunt and Rashee Rice, who both scored a touchdown. And let me tell you, those are true class acts right there. A great win for Buffalo, and as for KC, they pretty much have the same record as the Panthers. That's all you gotta know. Raiders versus Jaguars. What a game this was. And a lot of crazy moments happened in this game. Brock Bowers had a phenomenal game. Cam Little nailed a record-breaking 68-yard field goal, breaking Justin Tucker's record. And this game went into overtime. And in overtime, Jacksonville got the ball. They scored a touchdown on a Trevor Lawrence rushing touchdown. And then the Raiders get an opportunity to score. And Geno Smith threw a touchdown to Brock Bowers to give Bowers his 3rd touchdown of the day. And the Raiders decided to go for 2. And then Geno Smith's pass was batted down by a Jaguars defender, giving the Jags a 30-29 win in overtime. The Raiders lost in heartbreaking fashion, but it's really nothing new. They've been suffering since 2002, so yeah. Commanders versus Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. The Seahawks completely, and I mean completely, obliterated the Commanders in this game. And Sam Darnold had a really good game, throwing for 4 touchdowns. And for some unfortunate news, Jane Daniels suffered a horrible, and I mean horrible, dislocated elbow injury, and he's probably going to miss the rest of the season, given the keys to Marcus Mariota. Yeah, that is a double yikes. Still, I hope Jane Daniels makes a full recovery, because that is one of the worst injuries that I've ever seen in professional sports. He shouldn't even be playing in the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, but Dan Quinn decided to be a frickin' moron and keep him in there instead. And simply put, if Dan Quinn decided to pull Jane Daniels, then he probably wouldn't even get injured to begin with. And why even put him out there when you're down by a whole lot and you clearly knew that you guys were going to lose that game? Especially on one of your last few drives of the game, you decided to punt the ball. What, how does that even make any sense? And now, because Washington's franchise quarterback is injured, they want to literally murder Dan Quinn. They want to murder him. And finally, Cowboys versus Cardinals on Monday Night Football. This sure does look like an easy Cowboys win, right? Because the Cardinals aren't that good. Oh, wait. They lost to the Cardinals on prime time. How hilarious is that? Jacoby Brissett ran a train on Dallas's defense all game long. 261 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Marvin Harrison Jr. had a really good game. 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. As for the Cowboys, who am I kidding? They're always going to be the same Cowboys. They're going to look really promising in the beginning of the season, and then they're going to let their fans down every single year. I mean, every year. They've been doing this since the 90s, people.